We begin tonight with government agents breaking their silence about our safety in the skies. Federal Air Marshals and TSA screeners are supposed to protect us when we fly.
10 Connect's investigative reporter Mike Deeson talked to some federal agents who say they worry about another 9/11 style attack.
After the attacks of 9/11, the federal government took immediate action to try to make the flying public safe from terrorist attacks. It created the Federal Air Marshals, FAMs, to protect passengers on flights, and the Transportation Security Administration with screeners to check bags for explosives and keep terrorists off planes.
We're working with handcuffs behind our backs. It's a complete failure. The Congress, the White House, and the public has been sold a bill of goods.
We have to hide the identity of these agents because not only could they be fired for talking to us, but also they've been threatened with criminal prosecution for exposing what's going on in these agencies. Let's start with the Federal Air Marshals who ride airplanes looking for terrorists. They say the culture in the agency is not geared to stop another attack, and they blame managers.
They have a pre-9/11 mentality. They are the individuals. It's this mindset that they have. They're the ones that are responsible for allowing 9/11 to happen. They're retirees from the Secret Service and their cronies, which are also retirees from other federal agencies, federal law enforcement agencies that are their friends.
The FAMs say the double-dipping retired Secret Service managers, who make up a significant amount of management of the agency throughout the country, know nothing about air safety. They point to the fact that they didn't undergo the rigorous 2.5-month anti-terrorist training that Federal Air Marshals undergo. However, the FAMs say managers will often work an international flight to get a free flight to a choice destination.
The concern is here that these managers don't have the level of training or the experience that the everyday FAM does.
The FAMs also complain about managers who work domestic flights as well. In an EEO suit against the agency, one FAM alleged the assistant special agent in charge of the Tampa office, James Zalato, was working what's called a check flight and also acting as a backup from Orlando to Atlanta when, according to the lawsuit, he was asleep. Standard operating procedure is that he would have had a weapon.
He was asleep. It's an embarrassment.
I mean, he was supposed to be protecting the public.
Correct. If an actual bad guy knew that who he was and that he was armed, that individual could have made a play for the gun, absolutely.
Zalato didn't return our calls, and the TSA would not confirm or deny the allegation. But an agency spokesman says the TSA will look into these allegations. However, since we started making our inquiries, the agent in charge of the Central Florida office issued this email saying Zalato is temporarily reassigned to the Orlando office and not in charge of Tampa until further notice.
The fact of the matter is it's a hostile work environment.
Then there's what's called the Jeopardy Board. The FAMs say managers played a game using derogatory terms for blacks, Hispanics, women, gay people, and veterans, which were not welcome in the agency.
Got categories like pickle smokers, which would have went after anyone who was gay. They had a buckwheat category, or an R-gang category, which specifically targeted African Americans.
The agent in charge of the Orlando office, Bill Reese, while not confirming the board, sent out this memo saying the allegations are that the Jeopardy Board contains numerous insensitive references to race, gender, and sexual orientation. He says discrimination won't be tolerated. The problems aren't just in the Central Florida office. In New Jersey, a female filed a suit contending they said women don't belong here. In Chicago, 2 air marshals were fired after they complained their supervisors used racial slurs. In Cincinnati, 6 say they were harassed based on age, race, and physical disability.
When you get these bad eggs, unfortunately, it can tar everyone, and that's unfair. And it's also unfair that taxpayer dollars are going for incompetence.
That's why U.S. Representative Kathy Castor of Tampa sent this letter to the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee after seeing our story and investigation.
I'm asking the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the House to investigate and put some of their top-notch investigators on the matter and get to the bottom of this.
But with 23,000 domestic flights and 3,800 international flights each day and only 3,000 FAMs to cover those flights, Castor says the agency can't afford to chase off good agents.
Well, there needs to be some accountability because it is important for the public to have confidence in federal air marshals.
But perhaps of even more concern than the lack of federal air marshals on flights is the apparent hole in the security system that could allow a terrorist with an explosive device to get on an airplane here at Tampa International Airport.
On busy occasions, when the belt system is busy, about 50% of the bags don't make it down to search.
The inspector is talking about this $124 million baggage screening system at Tampa International. The system runs a bag through what's called an L3 explosive device system. If the machine picks up a potential problem, a transportation security officer, TSO, hits an alarm and the bag is sent to another area to be searched.
The problem was discovered very early on that the TSO would see something that alarmed, something that met the criteria as a possible bomb, IED. They would send search. The bag simply would never show up. It wouldn't come down to the search line to be cleared.
According to these inspectors, as many as 500 bags a day that set off an alarm for a possible explosive device and are supposed to be hand inspected never make it to the second inspector. Instead, these bags go directly onto the airplane.
About 4 years ago, an item came through that looked like 3 pipe bombs tied together. It was on a Boston flight, JetBlue flight. A screener sent search to send it down to the search line so that they could see if that's in fact what it was. It never showed up.
Although inspectors say they've warned managers about the problem, including in this memo saying there's an intrinsic flaw in the checked baggage in-line system, the TSA says there's nothing wrong.
This is a back support. I am putting a detonator into the plastic explosive.
This is a TSA undercover investigator at Tampa International Airport just a year and a half ago wearing simulated explosives and a chemical that mimics explosive residue. It should set off alarms as he goes through the screening process, but it doesn't, so the investigator identifies himself.
I want to have you do it again, and we'll go over everything so I can show you exactly what you did wrong.
The screener still doesn't find it. If the investigator were a terrorist, he'd be on his way to an airplane.
I personally won't fly. It's not safe to fly. I personally won't allow my family to fly. It's not safe to fly. There are so many gaping holes in our system that they're completely aware of.
The Government Accounting Office agrees. In this October 2009 report, it says the TSA lacks assurances that its strategy addresses the highest priority needs and mitigates the risk of an attack. Although the TSA has information on vulnerabilities, the report says the agency has not assessed weaknesses in the system that terrorists could exploit to carry out an attack.
The TSA management at headquarters and at Tampa are completely aware of it. They're playing odds. They're playing the odds that the terrorists won't put a bomb on. You know, they think 85% chance of catching it. To them sounds good, I guess. To me, it sounds frightening.
And these inspectors on the front line of stopping terrorists at Tampa International Airport say it should be frightening to the flying public as well. Mike Deeson, 10 Connects.
The TSA issued this statement. It says it is confident the security systems at TIA provide safe and secure screening of all passengers and their luggage.
Now, administration officials wouldn't appear on camera, but told us screening equipment is continually monitored for its effectiveness. Right now, the TSA is doing an additional assessment of its baggage system.